New Zealand and Australia have sent military surveillance flights to assess the damage caused by a huge undersea volcanic eruption in Tonga. Communications with the Pacific Island nation have been limited since Saturday's eruption. A British woman who was missing has been found dead in the first reported fatality on the island. Residents who got messages out to the world described a moonscape left by tsunami waves and volcanic ashfall. New Zealand is planning to fly water and other supplies to Tonga on Tuesday. At least 22 people were killed when an earthquake struck western Afghanistan on Monday. The U.S. Geological Survey says the epicenter of the magnitude 5.3 quake was about 40 kilometers east of Kala Ena, the capital of Badghis province. The Afghan official Bakhtar news agency quoted local authorities as saying that women and children were among the victims. The death toll is expected to increase. A group of United Nations human rights experts alleged Monday Afghanistan's Islamist Taliban government was attempting to steadily erase women and girls from public life. Taliban leaders are institutionalizing large-scale and systematic gender-based discrimination and violence against women. That's according to a statement issued by the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. The experts reiterated their alarm at a series of restrictive measures that the Taliban have introduced since seizing power last August. The Taliban have barred most Afghan women from returning to their jobs, ordered taxi drivers to offer rides only to female passengers wearing hijabs, and required a male relative to accompany women traveling, among more. Sudanese forces killed 7 anti-coup protesters on Monday. Medics say it was one of the deadliest days of recent rallies against a military takeover. The latest deaths make a total of 71 protesters killed since the army's October 25th takeover, led by General Abdel Fattah Burhan. It comes ahead of a visit by U.S. diplomats as Washington seeks to broker an end to the months-long crisis in the Northeast African nation. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged international business leaders and economists to do their part to make post-COVID-19 economic recovery equitable across the globe. Guterres said Monday at the virtual World Economic Forum that the recovery is lopsided, with inflation, shrinking fiscal space, and high food and energy prices hitting especially hard in low and middle-income countries. The UN chief said recovery remains fragile and uneven as the pandemic lingers, and poorer countries are seeing their slowest growth in a generation and need debt relief and financing. He urged reforms to the global financial system so it works for all countries. A French court found far-right French presidential candidate and political commentator Éric Zemmour guilty on Monday. He was convicted of inciting racial hatred and ordered to pay more than $11,000 in fines. Zemmour told a group of foreign correspondents that he stood by his controversial words, insisting he could not have been inciting racial hatred, quote, insofar as unaccompanied minor migrants are not from a separate race. Monday's case focused on comments from Zemmour made in September 2020 during an interview on French television network CNews. Many Australians wanted tennis star Novak Djokovic kicked out of their country for traveling to a tennis tournament without being vaccinated. They're considered some of the harshest COVID-19 border restrictions in the world in Australia. But the backdrop to the government's tough line on the defending Australian Open champion dates to nearly a decade ago. It also shines a light on Australians' complicated and strongly criticized immigration and border policies. Now, with the next election due by May, Djokovic has become the new focus of the government's claim to take a tough stance on border protection. Meanwhile, opposition leaders argue that the tennis star has exposed government failures.